I put the new four. All right, guys. All right. Listen, we have some interesting discourse going on today. I believe that this YouTuber named Pancho is beefing with Tipster. Interesting. This guy has almost 2 million subs. God bless. You can see Tipsters in the title. It's called SJW YouTuber Calls Me Transphobic. I'm curious what's going on here. I believe that he's reacting to the Tipster video, so we don't have to watch the Tipster video first. We could just go through this one here. We should be good. So let's see if it's valid. I think it's over. I'm going to assume it's over the Nick Merck situation. You guys know my take on that. If you don't, I'll put it in the description. My brief take is like what Nick Merck says definitely is something that can be interpreted as like anti-LGBTQ based on the context of the situation, but I don't think it's intentionally or it's meant to be, right? There was a school board situation where they were voting on whether they're going to acknowledge Pride Month. There was protesters there. There was a fight, and then Nick Merck says you should leave this stuff away from little kids. And for like, just so you know, the school district encompasses like a kindergarten to 12th grade, and I think that there should be age-appropriate discourse on LGBTQ people because they exist. There are young gay kids. They should be made to feel comfortable with their their whatever, with their feelings. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's trying to teach kids to be gay or anything. It's just an acceptance, and people should accept, especially in the workforce. You need to acknowledge gay people exist and work with them in the workforce, or else you're going to be unable to work. That's pretty much it. And so I thought it was like a little insensitive. I don't think that they should have lost his skin. I think that there could have been like a better social conversation about it. I think that they could have approached him and just did some kind of like education from the business perspective, as we have things like what are the trainings in that capacity, like whatever sensitivity trainings. I've done them before at work. I think it would have been fine to be like, hey, listen, this was inappropriate or insensitive, blah blah blah. But he just lost his skin, and then we move on, and that's pretty much it. So let's see what we got going on here. Let's see if he's transphobic.
These people want you to chop off your dick.
Okay, I think he is. I don't know. Listen, man. He might be. God bless. That's the first thing you're saying. Might be a little transphobic. Okay. Oh my God. Incredible.
It's as simple as that. That's what they fight for.
I know you're making fun of Ethan with that joke. Oh, because I made the joke about how I'm part Jewish, and you're just making fun of me. I literally am part Jewish. I just want you to know that. Like, my father was like an ethnic and religious Jewish person, so that's like me making I'm making the Ethan joke of being like, people don't like me because I'm Jewish, but like part of the joke is like I literally am ethnically Jewish. Like that's why it makes it more funny to me. So I'm not really making fun of Ethan as much. I'm just kind of being silly. I'm being a silly goose. Okay, it's not. I'm not anti-Semitic. Okay, so just letting you know that. Let's go.
That's what they believe in. They want you to chop off your. YouTuber Pancho says he is not transphobic, then proceeds to be transphobic.
Ooh.
I already know where this guy stands, judged off the title.
Okay, chat.
Yeah, he probably doesn't stand. It's just like me because I'm a big chunker. You know what I'm saying?
So, last night, I kind of jumped in late to a Xanderhall stream.
A Xanderhall
And I kind of caught the tail end of him reacting to a video by a commentary YouTuber known as Pancho.
Pancho Villa. My Hispanic coworkers used to say Pancho Villa all the time. I don't know what that means. Yeah. What does that mean? They used to call me Pancho Villa. Who is it? He was a general in the Mexican Revolution. They also used to call me Papa Noel and Mucho Gordito, which very handsome. Right? So, it's safe to say that the Hispanic community does like me a lot. Because when they say Papa Noel, what they're saying is that like I don't take any L's, which is really impressive that my 40-something-year-old coworker from El Salvador would know internet slang. It's kind of crazy. So that's pretty cool.
Is a large commentary YouTuber with nearly phobic in quotes as we go along. So here's the video. It's only 5 minutes and 12 seconds long. Obviously, I'll be providing my commentary.
See what you have to say.
A little bit longer than that to give my thoughts on whatever he has.
Hey, he's got to react very hard. Okay, that's part of being a reaction YouTuber. You got to make sure you react very hard.
But
we're still waiting.
Play that shit.
Nice
Here
clip.
we Go.
Today we'll be focusing on the transphobia allegations, man. I'm under attack. A lot of people have been saying, oh, you're transphobic. Good for you, Pancho. Transphobe. When somebody says the word transphobe or transphobic, you usually think of somebody hating trans people, and that's just stupid. Cause
I don't, man. Like, there's different. I mean, like, you could argue it might become a little convoluted because there is a spectrum of like all, like, not even hatred, but like you could be a little transphobic without hating somebody. You know what I mean? I just an average person. You know what I mean? I try to look at people in general like the way I used to look at my coworkers at work. We disagreed about shit all the time. Like, it's just like part of, it is what it is. But they don't like hate people. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. We get very hyperbolic on the internet with disagreements, and it's like, oh my God, we boil everybody down to like the one take that we had that we disagreed with, and we just filter it through that. And I think that that's a bit irresponsible to do when people are much more complicated than just like one take on one particular topic. So
I don't see any reason why I would need to hate on somebody for being delusional. I've never once.
Oh, well, then that's the transphobia, my man. Listen, I understand it's a mental health thing, but like calling it delusional, like obviously minimizes like the mental health aspect of people with gender dysphoria. You know what I mean? It's not a delusion. Like you can call it something that would be considered like incongruent, right? It's a different experience that's against the status quo, but it's not something that would be. It's not a delusion.
Okay, we're off to a good start, Chad.
Talk about it.
I don't see any reason to hate someone for being delusional. We are already off to a fantastic start to the video.
I swear to God, the only people that I've seen that have laugh tracks are like him and H3H3, and they usually do it because their own fans hate them.
Literally just referring to trans people as delusional.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is going to be fun.
Said on this channel.
I think it would have been good to go into why it's not delusional, right? So delusional is characterized by or holding false beliefs or judgments about external reality that are held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, typically a symptom of mental condition, hospitalization, or schizophrenia, right? So the perspective of like, I guess Pancho here, when it comes to it being a delusion, which is not a delusion, is it doesn't make sense to him because it's something that he probably doesn't go through, which makes perfect sense, right? Like it's very difficult to, understand like gender dysphoria is I think it's very difficult to understand the existence or being a person who has so much distress associated with their we'll say assigned gender at birth to be, like I guess like what the social narrative is, but that like they have a different gender identity, right? When you look at it from a diagnostic perspective, I think people will be like, well, it's classified as in the DSM-5, so it must be like bad. That means it's wrong, but basically, we're all human beings with different conditions, and we categorize them to help people treat particular issues. That's pretty much it. When it comes down to gender dysphoria, I think trans people are valid. It's not a delusion. I guess it's just like a deep feeling of mixture of gender dysphoria and gender euphoria. I think that what it means to be a man and a woman historically has been very, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say spiritual, but it's always been, I guess spiritual's fine. There's a different word I'm looking for. But the point I'm trying to make is like historically we've said that some men are less than men if they don't adhere to certain behaviors, and that some women are less than women if they don't adhere to certain behaviors. And so what it means to be an actual biological man and woman is pretty set in stone. But when it comes to the metaphorical aspect of it, we've always been debating what it means to be a real man or a real woman or a real this or a real that. And I guess spiritual is the right word. There's a word I'm looking for that I can't fucking get at. But yeah, okay.
That he's seething somebody for being
already
trans,
seething,
die or anything hateful. I've always just disagreed with their decision.
I mean, you literally just called trans people delusional. I'd say that's pretty fucking hateful.
Let's talk about it then. Calling trans people delusional is hatred. That's me being hateful. Is calling a schizo hateful?
Well, people would say calling somebody with schizophrenia a schizo would be considered like a bit of a derogatory term towards them a little bit. But yes, I don't think that comparing schizophrenia, which is having a delusional perspective on reality to the point where it's inconceivable, right? Let's bring up like Daniel Larson. I believe he has schizophrenia along with autism. He legitimately thinks that he's dating Grace VanderWaal, despite there's literally nothing going on that would ever indicate that. That would be considered some form of a delusion. Whereas a trans person, that is trans, that's not a delusional behavior. It's just an incongruent behavior, if that makes sense.
That's just making it.
Philosophical was the word that I've been looking for. Holy fuck. You're right. Thank you so much. I couldn't get the word out. I just couldn't remember.
Comment, right?
Incredible.
Good Lord.
He came ready with that one. Jesus Christ. All right.
What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
I'd say that's pretty fucking hateful.
Dude, what are these sounds?
Say, like the way he said it, that like with such
my soundboard has you beat, bro. I'm sorry.
Stupid. I'm not going to give him the Nick Merckx defense. For those of you guys who don't know, if you saw my Nick Merckx coverage, when I covered the Nick Merckx situation, I said that he was coming from a place of ignorance. Like he just didn't understand the reality of like, you know, people like in the LGBTQ plus community, their lifestyle, a lot of the discrimination they have to face, and you know, just various different things like that in relation to that topic. I gave Nick Merckx the defense of, hey, you know, he's just ignorant. All right, he's not hateful. He's just
or he just doesn't want children being introduced to sexuality. I think that's a pretty easy topic to grasp.
But see, and that's the beautiful thing, right? Like I love this discourse. One of the biggest things that people struggle with when it comes to the conversation about children and sexuality is they think that it has really anything to do with sex, and it doesn't. It does, but it doesn't, right? Kids being gay or straight, that is classified as a sexuality, but it's not about sex. It's just about loving who you want to love. Obviously, children shouldn't be introduced to sex at like a young age, but kids can still be introduced to love. And then there is like, you know, there is sexual discourse or sexual health discourse in schools. Like people need to learn like about condoms and pregnancy and shit too. So there is like a level of sex that is just fundamentally being taught to young people because you need to learn about this shit when you're young. But it's not like, you know, saying that gay people are valid isn't saying that, like, we're not talking about penises and putting penises in butts. We're just talking about it's okay to love who you want to love. And that's the problem, is that since it's labeled as sexuality, people go, oh, it's a sex-based thing. Oh, you don't teach sex to kids. Don't do that. That's not really what's being taught, though, right? And so that's why it's like weird that you don't want. Because here's the thing: you don't want it to be around. You don't want little kids to learn about you. Kids need to learn about LGBTQ in schools, or else you're gonna have fucking weirdos on TikTok teaching them. Okay, there's this TikToker who talks about mermaid pronouns. Do you want your kid getting an education from TikTok learning about mermaid pronouns, or do you want the teacher to just be like, yeah, gay people are valid and that's it? I'd rather the more normal discourse of like gay people are valid and exist, because that other shit is crazy as fuck. You were called gay in first grade. Turns out you were right. Yeah. That's fucking based, bro. Very good.
I don't know why
I was calling kids gay in first grade. When I was in first grade, I was like, you're gay. And then we would do the DX Suck It from the wrestling. Then you get old and you realize that was gay. I'm not kidding. There's people on TikTok teaching about mermaid pronouns. This is real. I don't want to make that's preposterous. That's not what people need to be learning about. That's nothing, okay?
Going into SJW autistic mode about that.
Whoa!
Talking about how he's coming from a place of ignorance. I mean, it's simple. We just don't want kids being introduced to sexuality at the age of 4 or 5. It's that simple. And
but that's the thing. Okay, when they're 4 or 5, I actually agree, but also don't introduce them in any direction. You know, you do have people going like, oh, your little boy's going to be a heartthrob with the girls. Or they'll be like, oh, your little girl's going to get attracted to all the boys. So you're introducing kids to what you would consider with sexuality at a young age. But then if it becomes something that's gay, all of a sudden you get really upset. I agree with 4 or 5, though. Like, obviously, you're too young to really know any of these things. I mean, you can know a gay person exists. Like, if you have a gay uncle, why does Uncle Bill have a boyfriend? Oh, he loves men. Okay, and then it's really not that big of a deal. But again, you guys are assigning children to this topic when it was not the topic, right? It was about acknowledging pride in schools from K to 12. If you said we don't want young people to be like 4-year-olds to be exposed to it, that would have been fine. But the problem is not everybody from K to 12 is a 4-year-old, and so you're instantly pushing that it is children, when the more common discourse is like, hey, I think that it needs to be age appropriate, but you assigned it as children. And so that's where like some of like that homophobia or anti-LGBTQ would come from. It's the instant like going right to kids when that wasn't the discourse that was being discussed, when they were just trying to acknowledge pride in school districts. It really isn't that deep to acknowledge the existence of gay people. So
go into intricate detail. Well, it's not making the kids gay, bro. I don't even want to make retard arguments like that. Go into that topic. It's just obvious, right?
Ignorant.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, if you're just like outright.
I will say, if you're going to keep saying, well, let's have the conversation to Tipster when he's making a point, then you can't just say, well, you guys already know what I'm saying, right? Like, you kind of have to do the same thing, though.
Out of the gate. I mean, we're not even like.
And to be honest, like, since he's already just coming after me for being hateful for trans people or towards trans people, I want to make it known that I want the best for everybody. I want trans people to be happy. And, it's weird how we're telling them to accept themselves by encouraging their delusion and encouraging their cope by continuing their life to get their dick chopped off or their titties removed. Like, it's flipped, basically. Like, I'm the one telling them the truth and giving them the tough love. Like, yo, maybe you should rethink your decision. And this guy's over here telling you to get your dick chopped off.
Yeah. So just to be very clear, is from a mental health perspective, you're objectively like incorrect about what you're saying, right? When it comes down to any mental health issue, we categorize things to help people treat their issue, right? When it comes to anything, autism, ADHD, gender dysphoria, schizophrenia, anything. The way that we treat is a mixture, which is it really the way that we treat is helping people function in society and be happy without losing anything in society. Acknowledging trans people exist, we don't lose anything in society. There's conversations to have about sports, obviously, because I don't think that trans women should be in sports. But outside of that, the majority of the time, it doesn't matter, right? And so the idea is not feeding into a delusion. It's helping somebody be the person that they are on the inside. I know that sounds like a little cringy, but that's really what it boils down to. And so it's just doing that to help them function in society and not hate themselves, because there are significant mental health issues. You have a massive increase in suicidality because of the issues that trans people face. In a similar way, we have massive issues of suicidality in men's communities because men don't get the help that they need from a mental health perspective. I understand the tough love argument. It just doesn't really apply here because you're incorrect about the treatment method of this particular thing, right? That's all I'm really trying to say. And so I understand, I think that it's well-intentioned to say, I think that they're facing a delusion, so they need to stop. Because from his perspective, he thinks that, if you just tell people enough that they're just dumb or not dumb, let me be less toxic. If you just tell people enough that they're wrong, that'll treat it. But it's so much deeper than that. It's much more complicated than that. And you don't know the solution to this problem. You know what I mean? There's a reason why there's been decades of mental health discourse and research and study about people with gender dysphoria. And your response is to disagree with all that, which is fine to disagree, but with just a feeling of oh, I'm right and you're wrong. And it's not a fact or logic based thing that you're engaging in. It is completely misunderstands mental health on a fundamental level and the way that we treat particular things, right? And so that's really the bigger issue there.
And we're just cheering for that. We're like, yes, they need to accept themselves by chopping their dicks off and getting hormone surgery.
And just to be clear, well, there's no such thing as a hormone surgery. But to be very clear, they're not actually chopping their wee-wees off. That's number one. They push it inside, right? Two, the discourse, generally speaking, the way that it's supposed to work from a mental health perspective for trans people is you basically propose two ends. The end of you that's where you are now, and then where you want to be. That's one of the first things that you do when you start going to therapy is you might go to a mall or go out and look for somebody, and you kind of want to explore how you want to look versus how you look now. And as you get closer to looking how you want to look, the therapist tries to reel in your expectations until you get to a point where you are very happy. The end goal isn't to transition as much as possible. It's actually to transition as little as possible to make sure that you're happy. The problem is that you have people on TikTok that think that they know what they're talking about. But I remember I had a really nice conversation with somebody who's probably a while ago, and I really wish I posted the conversation. I don't even know why I didn't. This was years ago. Who they specialized in having mental. They were a therapist for people with gender dysphoria. And I remember one of the things that they talked about, there's there are some people, and it's very rare, that have gender dysphoria, and the treatment is not to transition. It's actually to have them, continue their gender identity that aligns with their biological sex. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. You know what I mean? The goal isn't supposed to be just have people transition for funsies. It's to do as little transitioning as you can to while the person becomes happy, right? That's the point. So you don't have to get bottom surgery to be valid. That's the whole point.
Yes, because that's accepting yourself. That screams acceptance, right? Woo! No, it screams denial, and it screams self-hatred. Yeah, I'm gonna triple down on the fact.
Listen, if you're all for dudes taking steroids to be the best athlete, because all athletes, listen, hot take, athletes are on steroids. You have watched Bigger, Stronger, Faster by I think it was Mike Bell, or was it Mark Bell's brother? It was a really good thing. Everybody's on those roids, bro. It's somewhat similar. You know what I mean? People are doing what they want to do to hit the goals they want to hit. They're just different goals.
That it's a delusion. I think everybody knows this, right?
No.
We're not even a full minute into the video, and you're already referring to trans people as delusional, like, I'm sorry, bro, but you just don't get that defense. I can't give you that one.
So
decision.
stupid.
Okay, man. Okay. Disagreeing with the decision as me saying I hate them.
So, see, he thinks that being trans is a decision. He thinks that you get to choose to have gender dysphoria. Here's the thing, Pancho.
No. I get that gender dysphoria is a real thing, but it's also a mental disorder.
Yes. Oh, I love this discourse. It is. It's in the DSM-5. But what I would say is, it sounds like your perspective on mental issues is like a negative. Like, oh, you have a mental issue, and so I think less of you. I don't think it's like an active thing. But for you to be like, well, it's a mental disorder, so it's a delusion. I think that's a very minimalistic way to look at like particular mental issues. It's a classification based on an experience that you're having. Fundamentally speaking, anything could technically be labeled that way. We label it to treat it. Like, I think, let me just make sure. I'm pretty sure like ADHD is in the DSM-5. Okay. Yeah, ADHD criteria for in the DSM-5. ADHD is in the DSM-5, but we wouldn't say that because somebody with ADHD needs to have like a particular IEP or like protocol to be taught a little bit differently. We wouldn't say that they just have a mental disorder and they're delusional. We go like, how can we help this person function in society, right? Same thing for like autism. It's just about getting that person to function in society without losing anything in our society. That's why, like, when it comes to pedophilia, that's in the DSM-5. You can't let pedophiles molest children because that hurts children. So obviously that's very wrong. And once they do that, you know, we create an I. If they do that to children, obviously there's an island that you could go to.
King super chatted $10. These are the same people who are fine with sexualizing young boys when it comes to them being players with girls because it's seen as masculine.
Maybe
they only care about being appropriate when convenient.
I mean, maybe. I think it's more. Oh, sorry. I think it's more that there are there's so many cringe buzzwords, but like there's like heteronormative behavior where if it's like straight people engaging in a behavior, like, oh, you're a cool playboy at like 4 years old, that's okay. But like if you insinuate that they might be gay when they're young, that would be considered some kind of like really inappropriate thing. It's just like the conversation about like heteronormativity, which it gets like the cringe buzzword shit. I don't think really helps the conversation in this, but I don't, that I think that's what you're referring to, but I'm like, I don't know how super constructive those conversations are because they just come off as so weird and like a little too woke to me. I don't think that they appeal to people in a way that like changes their mind, but
I'm not saying, okay, just because you have gender dysphoria doesn't mean that you should go all the way to chop your dick off or transition. You know, a person might have schizophrenia. Should we just tell them to listen to the voices in their head?
No, but again, that's a different thing, and that's not how you treat people with schizophrenia, like, because that's harmful for them to play into that literal delusion that is completely non-reflective in reality. But you could see trans people who are absolutely transitioning, and it's like, listen, like you look at Blair White, that's not a dude. That's all I gotta say. You know what I mean? Like you see it. Okay. All right. So that like I think that part of it, like there's a lot of people that are like trying to they do look the part because they are that part, right? Like Blair White. If I put Blair White on screen and I put Buck Angel, Blair White, I would ask like, which one would you rather sleep with, right? As a straight guy. I got to make sure I get appropriate images. Buck Angel's got a very prolific career. Okay, so here's Buck Angel and here's Blair White, right? The question here is like, as you say, everything is just a delusion. Which one would you rather? Which person would you rather? Okay, as a video. Jeez, I hate videos. Which one would you rather sleep with? I'm thinking this one on the left, but this person was born a guy or girl on the right. This person was born a guy, right? But this is a woman on the left. So like, which one would you rather sleep with? You know what I'm saying? That it's just it's an example, right? You know what I'm saying? But okay.
It doesn't make any sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
To suffer from gender dysphoria. It's just something that just kind of happens.
Transphobe much?
You have to seek treatment.
And then we're telling them that they should be themselves. Yeah. By doing this. That's so dangerous.
No, but it's not. But this is a good conversation about like, what is yourself? Are you like, what is, it's like a spiritual versus physical aspect of it. Like obviously your body is part of yourself, but like your mind should be at least equally, if not more valuable, because that's where all your information and your human experiences are collected into, is in your brain. Right. And so like, that's when they say be yourself. It's like, how do you feel on the inside? It's like, that's like, be yourself in that capacity. Right.
I know I'm pretty stuck on it right now, and I know I'm taking this probably more serious than it should be. Like, look at this guy.
Whoa.
Treatment in the form of gender-affirming care. And what gender-affirming care looks like
Gender-affirming care.
Different for everybody. You know, some people, they might just do the social thing of maybe they change the way they dress.
It's so funny. Some of his chat saying, I love Pancho. Like, half of his chat is on my side already.
Maybe they change their name. Maybe they use different pronouns. For other people, it might be something like, you know, using hormones. You know, they might actually go on estrogen or testosterone or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're comfortable with. And then there's others who will progress further with like getting, you know, surgeries and stuff like that. Different forms of gender-affirming care based on their own level of comfort.
It's not good.
You know, what they need.
It's not good. See, obviously, we have completely...
From like an objective standpoint, the mental health outcomes of going through gender-affirming care that are appropriate for the individual, they have better mental health outcomes. And I think in a society, especially in a society that should be valuing mental health more, that's a profoundly positive thing. Again, if we bring it back to men's mental health, like we should with mental health is something that's historically been so underlooked in so many different communities, and it's something that needs to be acknowledged at least as much as physical health, if not more, because it's a very powerful thing. And that's what it comes from. Mental health outcomes are so much better, which are going to translate onto physical health outcomes. So it is working. The desire of having these individuals feel better, it is working. If you don't prioritize that, like I understand, but like feeling happier is a really important thing, I think, for people, and we don't lose anything in society by acknowledging like the existence or affirming trans people. Again, I know there's a conversation now about sports and also dating, right? I understand that too, definitely, but everything else, the day-to-days, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You're walking around. You don't need to know what's between someone's legs. So
the opposite stances on this, right? So I don't think we'll get anywhere just because he's already assuming that I'm hateful and he's already assuming all this stuff. I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
To overcome their gender dysphoria, okay? This is not a delusion. This is not a fucking choice. This is something that, unfortunately, these people deal with.
It is a choice to transition and become transgender and cut your dick off and do gender-affirming care.
Yeah, yes and no. It's like a choice that somebody makes, sure. But that choice has like an uncontrollable experience behind it, right? Like, for instance, when I have to take a piss, it's my choice to piss wherever I go pee-pees. But I do it because I have to pee. I have a lot of piss. You know what I mean? People make choices based on what they want all the time. Like even in dating, like, you know, it's a choice to date a redhead or a brunette or a blonde, but you're going to have an uncontrollable preference of like which one of those that you're going to want more, and you're going to gravitate towards that. That's probably the most relatable experience I could say. I don't know what else is going on in Pancho's life, but I mean, I feel like that's a pretty relatable experience. It's like you have a feeling about a thing, and then you act on that feeling. And that's, you know, that's the most relatable I can come up with there.
That's a choice. You chose to do that. I get that you didn't choose to have gender dysphoria.
Right.
I understand that, and I understand that's a real thing. As I mentioned, bodybuilders have it too.
That's body dysmorphia, but I understand what you're saying.
But even going back to that example, should we just tell them to do steroids?
If they want. I really don't. To be honest with you, sure. If they want to, go for it. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I wouldn't tell them to do it. I wouldn't tell a trans person to transition. But if that's the diagnosis that they got, go for it. It gets a little more complicated when it comes to bodybuilders because that's a professional business. And then there's other people who might want to compete, but they're not going to be able to because it is very normalized to use PEDs there and whatnot. And so that's like a different, because it comes to a competitive aspect, right? Most trans people are not trying to be a competitive anything. So, but yeah, sure. If you want to take it, go. I don't care. Like, yeah. You know, if liver king it up, baby. You're going to have no liver left after you go on too many PEDs, but, you know, try to do them safely, I suppose. You know, when I get older and my testosterone goes down, I'm probably, you know, and if I need it, I'm going to go on some testosterone treatments for my doctor. So
no, so we shouldn't tell these transgender people to cut their dicks off.
Oh, give it to me.
Something that they have
give me a few oranges.
And they have to get care for.
They need help. They need genuine help.
Yes, they do. And they're getting that correct help through the mental health counseling. That's been decades of research. So, yeah. I guess my question would be like, what do you think the help is? He something to help is just saying, no, you're wrong. But okay.
Me to tell them the truth. It's wild, man.
I
will say,
super chatted $1.99. This is the same guy who folded 'cause of Sneeko.
Oh, I have no idea about that. This is one thing I will say about this Pancho guy is based on that. Like that's a little bit of like a savior complex. Like if you're saying I know better than the decades of research and people who have masters and doctorates degrees in these particular things, I know better. Like that, you like, and you think that you're gonna save people by helping them transition or whatever, or not transition. Like you have a little bit of a savior complex. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, brother, you know, you obviously aren't going to know better than people. You have to think that there's some kind of a deep-seated conspiracy to think that you know better as somebody who just makes content on the internet than like actual mental health professionals. So
while we're living in clown world,
like any
quite
other
literally
condition that people would deal with. Okay, so
gender
we already
disrupting care,
see
yeah, for
the
real.
level of ignorance this guy has. That this is not a choice, right?
It
Just
is
like
a
being
choice.
gay is
and I'll also say that, like, I obviously agree with Tipster more than anything else, but there are some ways that he's probably not communicating this discourse in a way that would like change Pancho's mind as much as it would be to kind of communicate to his audience that like he's like. Okay, there's two different, like, fundamentally, like, generally speaking, there's two different types of conversations you can have about any topic. That conversation can be in a way that appeals to the people who already agree with you, and then there's conversation in a way that doesn't appeal to people that agree with you. It's fine to do either one, like, you do you. You don't have to have one or the other. There's nothing, like, whatever, you do you. Personally, I try to, and you could say that I failed to do it, but I tried to, right? Like, do a discourse that would get people who don't agree with me to maybe agree with me a little more, even if I fail at that. I feel like I do an okay job, though. I don't know that Tipster video necessarily would do that, you know, because like if you're thinking it's delusional and you just say, oh, he thinks it's delusional. Let's say the opposing side thinks that this is just a delusion, and then you hear that and you're just like, you think it's delusional? Oh, you're transphobic, and you don't really get into why. I think that like obviously that could be a turn off to individuals who feel that way. So
a choice. It just you're gay or you're not.
What about bisexual?
Believe that, I guess. If I have anybody that's watching this video that's that low IQ, I wouldn't mind if you believed that, because I don't want any low IQ people in my audience. If we're on the top...
Okay, the only low IQ person I see here, Pancho, is you.
Whoa!
Fuck, bro. Fuck.
Somebody who exists in a state of ignorance, somebody who refuses to get out of that state of ignorance, and somebody who just is perfectly fine.
Bro, when are we going to actually have a good debate, or when are you going to bring up good talking points? Bring up the studies. I'd love to hear you bring up the studies about gender being disconnected from sex and all these other studies about trans people, because... this did the studies, bro, chat.
Well, again, like, you know, there could be specific studies brought up, but my question to you would be like, this is what is the general accepted idea that's going on, right? Like, there's been decades of research that show that the way that we're interacting is the best way to go. It could change, of course. But you'd have to believe that those mainstream studies, for some reason, even though they're being used to implement this discourse, or implement this treatment, even though the treatment is having the positive impact of reducing suicidality in people, that somehow there's some kind of a deep-seated conspiracy to make people trans. And that's where it gets into like, well, why do you, like, that's a bizarre take then at that point. So it's more of like, what information are you operating off of, it really?
Jet, this is the bitch who did the trans studies.
Look, I don't think it was just her. I think there's probably at least one more person did the trans studies. I think there's at least 3,000 or so people that have done these studies.
You're telling me there wasn't?
This is the one person, guys. This is the one person that did all the trans study. Come on, this is the one girl. She did the trans studies, bro. She's the one that did them all. I think it's probably a couple more people that did them, okay? I think it's not just that individual.
You're telling me there wasn't a little bit of bias with these studies? Just a little bit? You don't think she thought to herself, oh, I'm going to push my idea in these studies. I'm going to grab a bunch of different people who fit my idea for what I want to push out.
Well, first of all, again, there's like probably thousands of people who've done these studies that have been like peer reviewed and goes through really strenuous processes. Second of all, the way that we do these studies are based on outcomes, and since the outcomes of mental health are going up for people with gender dysphoria, like it's not just a study. Like, yeah, there can be bias in studies, but again, there's so many that have been done, and they're showing positive outcomes compared to not getting treatment, that it's more complicated than like look at this one person did the thing, right? So, but okay.
People don't look into this stuff.
I don't think that you
and it's so funny how he's talking to me about how I'm operating from a place of ignorance. Dude, I've looked all this stuff up. You're starting to see how this all like works?
Bro, the fact that you think it's just one person that did the studies, though, that's the amount of looking up you did. It might be more to be desired. God bless, gobbles.
And chat, if we want to even go deeper, do you know, I'm just giving you the information.
Okay.
I'm not even trying to make a big point here.
What's the big point here?
It's just funny. It's hilarious.
I don't understand what the big point was there. I didn't really see. And it was an early, okay, so the Institute for something, I'm assuming this is German, was an early private sexology research institute from Germany from 1919 to 1933. The name, okay, was a variously translated the Institute of Sex Research, okay, Institute for Sex to Institute, okay, what does this matter? I think he's trying to say that there is an association between LGBTQ and Hitler because this was done in Germany. I think he's alluding to this, like, I wouldn't know unless I asked him, so take this with a grain of salt, but it kind of seems like he's trying to associate this with Nazi Germany, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't know what other point he's trying to make because he's not expressing it. And so it communicates to me he thinks that there's a relation between LGBTQ and Nazis, and that's your point. Like, yeah, bro, like that's very trans and homophobic, brother. Like that's... Now we're getting into the conspiracy-esque thing. Like, just because there were institutes that studied LGBTQ in Germany in the 1920s doesn't mean that everything is Hitler, right? So, okay.
Big point here.
Incredible stuff.
It's just funny. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Being an ignorant fucking person. That's what I see here.
Topic of hate. Yeah, dude, because you've mentioned so much so far. Hating groups of people, I'd say stuff. The only group of people I really hate are pedophiles. All this guy has said so far is I'm hateful. Same. That's it. And that I'm ignorant.
Oh, same.
I don't care if they die. I'm waiting to get burned alive. You know, some people would say, oh, Pancho, this is a PR-ass response. Why don't you just come out and say you hate trans people if you don't agree with any of the things they do with transitioning or their decision? Because that's just stupid. That's just stupid. There's nothing you gain from hating people. Okay. You don't gain anything.
Come on, say something.
You don't hate trans people, but you hate the things that allow them to exist and live a comfortable life.
Whoa. Okay, so...
Oh, shit. I'm gonna die. Fuck. That was an accident, guys.
Yeah, this guy got psyoped. I don't know what else to say. He just got psyoped. So,
what do you mean? What does he get psyoped on?
Damn, that's a retarded ass argument. So this guy's logic is these people can't exist comfortably without being trans.
Yeah, like that's why suicidality goes down with treatment. Sure.
He wants you to chop your dick off. He wants you to chop your titties off. He wants you to get hormone replacements.
Hey, I want you to give me your dick, guys, trans people. Okay, I need more inches. All right.
Surgery, whatever, therapy. That's what he wants.
Okay.
He just wants y'all to be gay. I don't know how y'all don't see it. That's the hill he's dying on.
Hair that allow them
it's a very
to live happy, healthy
interesting
lives,
argument,
right?
Or interpretation there.
You don't hate trans people, but you don't want them to be able to make that choice.
Okay. All right.
Make it make sense, chat.
Okay.
Soundboard.
I'll make it make sense.
Don't want them to be able to make that choice.
Oh, Tregan, because bro, you guys stop giving me so much money. Are you rich? Stop giving me all your money, bro. It's crazy. I wanted to ask you because we watched your video on stream, but I didn't react to it. I just watched it on the stream because you said it was okay. Are you okay with me posting that as a segment onto my channel?
Tregan Films super chatted $49.99.
Because I thought it was really good.
Is Diablo 4 an epic game?
I do like it. Stop giving me money. Buy yourself, okay? But that's what I want to ask you. If I could post my reaction to your video and then give you credit for it, obviously, because I thought it was pretty good. But anyway, you let me know in the thing.
The choice is damaging.
It's not, but okay.
It's as simple as that. All the studies that found that idea that it's not damaging was conducted by a lesbian who 1000% I believe had some bias in her study.
Well, no, there's been decades of discourse about this. What are you referring to? What resources are you referring to?
Plenty of bias.
Make it make sense.
You dumb cunt.
It's been a lot more than just one person.
Jesus.
You can actually gain a lot by hating people on the internet or hating trans people or hating whatever group of people on the internet because there's a market for that. But I want to be above that. I think
you're appealing to that market.
And
I want to be above that by saying that trans people shouldn't have access to the care they need.
They don't need it at all. Holy shit.
G's on my Jeep.
And you're pushing 400 pounds. I don't know what else to say. This guy doesn't come with any valid argument. And he keeps...
Hey, pushing P, baby. Pushing pounds. You know, that's what you're supposed to be doing, doggy. Pushing P. Hey. You said, yeah, I could do that? Awesome, brother. Thank you. Pushing P.
Playing the laugh track. This shit's cringe as fuck.
I fucking hate everyone.
Jesus.
You know, at the end of the day, as I said, I don't agree with it, but that doesn't mean I'm hating. I think people who are trans suffer from a mental illness, and that's gender dysphoria.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a mental illness. That's just a category of a thing that you're struggling with, and people should help you. And the right way to help somebody is through gender affirming care. I also don't think it invalidates incredible AI. I don't think it invalidates somebody's identity either, because again, these are just classifications to help people get help with any particular struggle that they have. So yeah.
learned about that years ago, and it got changed.
Okay, it's not a mental illness. It's a mental condition.
Oh my god! Oh my god! The wordplay.
Well, I mean, maybe that is classified as like I mean, I would just say it's in the DSM-5 because the problem is a lot of people will say that they think it's just a mental illness, and then they'll just dissuade or just say like, no, it's bad, don't do this. And so the usage of that word, I don't really know what the proper term would be. That's why I say in the DSM-5 because I think that that's a little more sensitive and doesn't allude to like you just like that's the thing when people say, oh, it's just a mental illness. What they're saying is that there's no validity to it and they need to stop and they're just like delusional, which is just incorrect about the situation. And so that's probably why he's saying a mental condition instead of illness, which maybe he's right about that vernacular. To be more sensitive, like whatever, sure. Whoa, I'm getting booty stomped.
Chat, a mental disorder is a confusion in the brain. Holy shit, bro has no fans, so he has a laugh track. His fans probably hate him secretly. Like, I don't know what else to say. This is so bad.
Might be true. I don't know, but
36-year-old motherfucker who's pushing 400 that wants you to chop your dick off, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, it's a mental condition that they deal with,
dude.
and the way you treat said mental condition is by seeking out gender-affirming care. Okay.
From a mental illness to a what do they call it? A term now. It's just a term. They don't need. See, that's this guy's worldview. That these people need this gender-affirming care. They need to chop their dicks off. They need girls to take testosterone and boys to take estrogen. It's all backwards. A term for a boy who's confused and thinks he's actually a girl, or a girl who's confused and actually thinks she's a boy. And just because you have some sort of mental disorder doesn't mean I can't treat you like a human. I'll have a conversation with you if you're cool. But if we get to talking, let's say we're talking about random people, and then the trans person goes, don't misgender them. That's not okay. Bro, I'd stand up and leave. I'd get the fuck out of there because I'm not gonna have somebody.
I don't understand what's so.
If I didn't want to call somebody by their like pronoun, I would just ask them their name and call them that. As long as it's not something like starlight butterfly, I'd be like, okay, and then I just call them by that. But I mean, I generally just don't care. It's a pronoun; it really means very little to me. Like, you know, me, I'm fine with like he, she, they, them, he, him, whatever. But outside of that, like you're getting a little preposterous. You know what I'm saying? This gets a little crazy. I wouldn't go that crazy, you know.
So hard about like. What's so hard about not misgendering people, right?
I'm not gonna live in retard world, Tipster.
Whoa!
Too long. I was too nice, and I actually cared about pandering to delusion, and I'm just not doing that anymore. It's that simple. And then they'll say, "Oh no, but you're disrespecting them by doing that." No, I'm just speaking about what I know to be objectively true.
I don't really think that it matters whether you're disrespecting them. I mean, you shouldn't disrespect people. I just think it just makes you look like a silly goose. All right. A little bit of a silly goose there because you are objectively incorrect based on all the information that we have when it comes to these conversations. And like, you know, you can, if that's the way you want to look, that's fine. But to be like, oh, I'm objectively right based on the way that you feel. Like this is a very facts. Don't like it's from a factual perspective, you are incorrect, right? With what we know about mental health and gender dysphoria, you are incorrect. So.
What?
I can understand if like maybe you meet a trans person for the first time and maybe you can't tell based on your first interaction with them, you know, what their gender is or something, and you act.
Chat, this guy lives like a fucking loser.
Bro, my only question to Pancho is: would you rather fuck Buck Angel or Blair White? And then you tell me which one, okay? And if you pick Blair White, how do you reconcile with that? You know what I mean? You said that Blair White's a dude, so what's going on there? You know what I'm saying?
Misgender them. Like,
you know what I think it is?
She's not a dude, by the way, guys. Okay, I have to say that.
I think this guy just lets his emotions guide him through life completely. That's kind of he's just a really emotional fat guy, right? And I think he like has this guilt complex. I don't even know what it is, Chat. I don't even know what to call it, but this guy just feels like he needs to pander to these groups.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I disagree with you.
This is the byproduct. This is what you get.
He's
Somebody
got cool
who's
sunglasses,
trying to die on the hill of gender affirming surgery.
Yeah.
Who's 36 and pushing 400 pounds.
Like, I do think that sometimes people get a little too
there is a lot of appeal to the way that people look in this situation, and it's a lot of the arguments are just like, well, this person is fat or lesbian, so they can't really give an honest perspective on it. And like, how is that any different from obnoxious feminists saying men don't get to have a perspective on life because they're men? Right, like that's a very lazy argument. Even if you feel you're right, like you're basically just acting the way like radical TikTok feminists act. Like you just know everything, and that You know, you're just like, oh, look at the way they look. They don't get an opinion on that. Fundamentally doing that to any group. I mean, that's the foundation of like racism. That's the foundation of sexism, not just versus women, but also towards men as well, which TikTok feminism has become. I mean, like, you know, that's your entire argument. Is just like, look at you, silly goose. It's like, okay, it's like great, cool. Like, it's not exactly the most flushed out argument there
about that, and as a result it causes conflict where there doesn't need to be conflict.
I think, yeah, I mean, a lot of people definitely, you hear about people bitching on TikTok about how some random clerk at the gas station misgendered them, and they'll post about it on TikTok and it'll get millions of views. So yeah, it's in our face.
Or it could simply be resolved as like, oh, you know, I actually go by.
That's an interesting thing in chat. Why are you trying to hate on what other people do in their life? See, that's where everybody gets it twisted. That's where everybody gets it twisted.
Well, you clearly don't like why is this running away so much? What an annoying game. You clearly, I don't know if I'd use the word hate, but I think that it's accurate to use the word hate for other people to see what you're doing, interpret it as hatred. It's certainly wrong. Like, it's just wrong. You're just incorrect. But yeah, okay. All right.
Everybody thinks me talking about something is hating on it, or me just telling the truth about something.
But that's the problem. It seems like even your own audience gives you the feedback that like you're being hateful. So like maybe there's something to it, and it sounds like you're the delusional one that's like refusing to acknowledge that some of the things that you're saying are hateful.
On it doesn't make any sense, and I think it's because the argument has shifted so far left and so liberal that if you have any form of common sense, they'll just automatically label you as like a transphobe. Because the argument...
Listen, man, in the same way that people victimize themselves on the internet, like he was just saying, where they'll go and they'll have a negative experience and go post it on TikTok and go, look at me, I'm a victim, is what you're doing now. You're doing the same thing. You're like, I just have common sense, guys. I'm right. You're doing the same thing that like annoying people on TikTok do for attention. You're just, you're not really explaining your position at all and just saying that like you're the victim of harassment and bullying from the leftist mob because you want to just express that trans people are delusional and are invalid and they're just idiots that shouldn't be getting surgery or any type of gender affirming care. So you're kind of doing the same thing, man. And like, absolutely, let's be very clear. Like the left-leaning perspectives can get absolutely out of control on the internet because it is the acceptable perspective to have, so people can be very lazy, not be well informed of their own perspective. There's more cancel culture mobs. I'm always going to talk about the City Bike Karen. This woman was called a racist because she had an altercation with a young man that wanted to hog a bike when he wasn't using it and didn't use it for like another 45 minutes. And you could be like, oh, she's being an obnoxious bitch or whatever you want to say, but they called her instantly racist and tried to get her fired from her job and tried to destroy her life. So absolutely that exists. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that every time you disagree with like what the social perspective is, that you are like this massive victim of like a fucking matrix, which is the allusion to that in some capacity. So
I mean, in general, about transgenderism is so far left already. That's the mainstream right now. I'm not hateful. Why the fuck would I waste my time hating on them? Augie said hatred is good. Yeah, because their form of hatred is just common sense in our world, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think genuine hatred is like very obvious, right?
Yeah. Well, again, you did allude to LGBTQ people being from Nazi Germany. So I mean, maybe it might hate them a little bit because I personally hate Nazis. So, you know what I mean? If you're going to allude to them being Nazis, that sounds like maybe you hate them a little bit. But, okay.
Like, fuck this guy. I hope he dies. Like, that's hatred. And sometimes even people say that sarcastically, right? So you get what I'm trying to say.
But I feel like once somebody has let you know, hey, these are my pronouns, it's not that difficult to just be a decent human being.
Oh my God. It's not hard to listen to your own understanding of reality either.
Okay.
Why don't you just say it for what it is instead of coping and living in their delusional world?
You got it, brother.
It's so wild how they'll automatically like guilt pander. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And respect their fucking pronouns. Yeah. Like if your
respect
response, like he just said,
pronouns,
is to just leave the room as soon as somebody corrects you, is hey,
this motherfucker's pronouns are fee fi fo fum.
You know, these are my
being
pronouns.
Being completely honest, I wouldn't be surprised.
Like that's just you being a fucking asshole.
Got him.
All right? You can't say that you're not hateful towards trans people and then openly admit that if one of them says, hey, you know, you misgendered me, could you please use these pronouns for me? And
I personally like transphobic people because it's just more cute girl penis for me. You know what I'm saying, doggy? You know, you know what I mean, doggy? No, I'm married and I love God. All right, guys. Okay. We have to just, listen. I love God and I love Jesus. I'm married. I'm a devoted Roman Catholic. So really quick, like we have to make sure that we understand this. we gotta keep that in mind. I just can't find it. I'm just okay. Let's continue. Fuck.
Your response is basically to leave the room as a.
Okay, well, that was a stretch. Obviously, I'd just be like, no.
It's a sort of symbolic way of telling them to fuck off. You can't say you're not transphobic when that's your response to being corrected on someone's pronouns. I'm sorry, it just doesn't fucking work that way.
I can't find it, guys.
I'm not even laughing because it's funny. Well, yeah, it's funny because it's cringe. Confused about reality. Hey, thanks for the 10, Augie. I got to say that earlier. No, I'm not buying it, dog. Like, you can't fool me. I'm not brainwashed like you. I'm not with the mental gymnastics shit. I'm sorry. I mean, when I was a kid, I grew up.
Mental gymnastics?
Yes, mental gymnastics. You're created as a boy or a girl. Anything else is cope.
Whoa.
Anything else is cope.
There it is. There it is. This is what we were looking for. Holy, holy, holy Lord. Oh, I forget this part all the time. I gotta get this part. I gotta remember it. Heaven and earth is full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna in the highest. Peace be with you, and also with you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That always gets me so unironically hyped, bro. I don't know. I don't even know what that song means. I remember doing it in church. And it always hyped me up, bro. You know what I mean? It's almost like you hear it's like it's just a moment of glory song for me. It's about praising God, I believe. So proud. It's a shouting praise for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who created trans and gay people, which is why they're valid. That's all it takes for me. God. You know how they said God made dirt and dirt don't hurt? God made gays, and I'm here to play. You know what I mean, dude? It's valid to me, dude. God made them. God made gay people, so they're valid. Okay. He also made Rocky Road ice cream. So think about that one. Okay.
Gymnastics. You're diving in your brain. Oh, well, I have this feminine trait and I'm a guy, so am I a girl? I might be a girl, but I have this masculine trait. Oh, I'm going to go back and forth for the next 5 years of my life and watch a bunch of people online who are telling me to chop my dick off, and I'm going to continue to do this. Yeah, it's mental gymnastics, bro.
Dog, there are literally studies that show that gender dysphoria is a real...
Yes, he's bringing up the studies!
All right, let's look up the studies.
Gender dysphoria is a condition that causes people who deal with it a great level of distress to the point where they experience
I thought he was going to bring up the actual
levels
studies
of anxiety,
that were on topic,
but
he's bringing up gender dysphoria. Yes, gender
What
dysphoria
studies,
causes depression and all this other bad stuff. Really, if we're on the topic of gender dysphoria, I think I confused it earlier when bringing up the bodybuilders, talking about body dysmorphia, right?
Oh yeah, those are two different things.
That's what it really is.
Gender people that have gender dysphoria might have body dysmorphia, but there's a reason why they're classified in two different ways. While my wife said I was preaching, she made a good point. What's the good point that you made? What's the point that you made that you're not a big fan of the movie Moana and you need to watch it again because people keep telling you that you're wrong? Like, what's the point that you made up? All right. While I was preaching, while I was praising our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, what could you have possibly said that was more important than what I was doing? Let's see. If it's a cope, the cope of incongruent feelings of mind to body. What does that mean? What are you trying to say there? Do you want to call in, my love? Because I don't really understand what your point is. Not even mean. I just don't know what you mean. Are you saying that like I don't know. Anyway, continue.
That's what it really is, body dysmorphia. Because you'll have a lot of these guys out here talking about or thinking in their own minds if they're trans, and you have these girls thinking in their own minds if they're trans because they have different traits, right? A girl that has masculine traits and a guy that has feminine traits.
Yeah, that's not.
So to some degree, it's body dysmorphia, and it's a lack of confidence. It's a lack of self-confidence and knowledge about yourself. And you think gender-affirming surgery is what's going to help that?
Yeah, it's proven.
You don't think that's just them walking even deeper into a dark tunnel of delusion?
No.
You don't think that?
No.
My friend, you're retarded.
Whoa!
More importantly,
Based.
they experience severe levels of suicidality. Okay, so like they have, it's not a fun thing.
And to really tackle on the problem here, which is the body dysmorphia and gender dysmorphia, whatever, gender dysphoria, orgomorphia. There's actual gender affirming care, right? And that's like, you know, going to the gym. You think transitioning is what?
I think anybody could go to the gym. Well, men, women, anybody can go to the gym. So what's that a true? I mean, you should go to the gym. I should go to the gym. So
it's gonna help that out. Fuck no, it's not. This motherfucker on Judgment Day is gonna be shook.
Deal with,
God's
okay?
gonna kill him, huh?
And
That's
so
wild.
the way that you treat that, the way that you deal with that, is by treating these people with the level of gender affirming care that they need to
Yes,
deal
chat, cut your dick off, chat.
with this situation. Okay, there's scientific studies that back this. All right.
Yeah.
So
studies that were done by a lesbian.
Bullshit that people just came up
more than that. I wonder what studies like Pancho is referring to.
with in their heads. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not the case. That's like saying people who suffer with, like, you know, I don't know, anxiety or depression
Big
disorders.
testicles.
Oh, it's just all in your fucking head. Like, that's not real. Like, we've known that these conditions exist for a long fucking time. This isn't something that's new. So to just pretend like, oh well, I don't believe it's real, so whatever. You're the one that's delusional here.
Okay.
Science literally back.
I'm not saying gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia isn't real. I'm saying the idea of transgenderism isn't. It's all cope.
Well, it is real, and that's okay. We've already talked about, but that's the proper way to treat those conditions. But okay.
From that body dysmorphia and gender dysphoria, it's all cope. Okay. You think a guy dressing up as a girl and then telling people to call him a girl is legit?
Okay.
Like, we're gonna believe him?
Okay.
I don't understand how people can bend over that easily to a delusion.
I think that one thing to be said here is that there are people who disagree with trans people and gender dysphoria and whatnot, and I'm always open to a conversation with people who actually are down to engage. I don't think that this Pancho person is somebody who would be legitimately down to engage. He would just kind of just continuously say like the same ignorant thing over and over again. I don't believe studies or the reality of the world is pretty much where he's at. So I'm not sure that there could be constructive discourse with him, but I could just be wrong about that.
But is that, you know, it's just, like, if we're speaking objectively, it's just stupid how we're even bending over for these people, bro. And then they'll call us transphobic and homophobic, bro. I'm not scared of y'all rainbow-haired.
The existence of gender dysphoria. So like,
stupid.
what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
I'm talking about trans people. I firmly believe most people believe this, but they're too nice to tell these people the truth.
Okay.
And I'm not here to spread hate, and I'm not here to radicalize anybody. I don't want any of you guys being trans.
I'm not here to spread hate, but I'm telling my audience of 146,000 people who watch this video that if I'm corrected on somebody's pronouns, I'm going to tell them basically to fuck off by leaving the room. And I'm also going to say that I don't believe they should have access to gender affirming care.
It was a joke, Tipster. Come on. I thought you could take a joke, Tip. I thought you were an edgelord. What the fuck? I thought you were that guy. You like Leafy.
He does have a decent point here. All right, I thought he was an edgelord. I'm an edgelord. I love edges all the time. I don't know where that joke was going. Sorry, it wasn't really funny.
Make it make sense to me, chat. Make it fucking make sense because it's not making sense.
We get it, bro. You know your audience hates you. It's okay.
I'm not hateful. This is him speaking. I'm not hateful, but you shouldn't have access to the care that you need, and I'm not going to respect your fucking pronouns. Okay, dude.
Because it doesn't solve anything. One thing I noticed that they get twisted is they'll listen to somebody make an edgy joke about trans people, and then they'll say that like how I did, even though they're just making jokes, regardless of them being edgy.
Well, the joke was made with hateful intent.
So the problem is,
well, yeah, I mean, you clearly like don't affirm trans people, so like it's safe to say that if you made a joke, what the fuck, you made a joke about like a trans person, like you probably feel that way, right? Like jokes can be fun. But it seems like you're more interested in using the joke to push the idea like trans people aren't valid. So like, yeah, that's a reasonable point. You could say it's just a joke, but like, yeah. But yeah.
Okay, number one, we talked about this.
What's up, Acrylo? Yo, Papa, you know what I was thinking about? You know how Tate says he's never... I felt those things that just... Andrew Tate's trying to push like a conspiracy thing. Yeah.
Earlier when we talked about the Nick Merckx thing, sometimes statements we make, and those statements include jokes. Sometimes those jokes, they play into harmful like stereotypes or harmful narratives.
Oh my! I knew he was going there. Okay. How did I predict it, chat? It's too easy with this motherfucker, bro.
But when you make certain jokes, you're playing into very negative and harmful stereotypes and narratives. Okay,
that's part of the. It's a joke.
Not only that,
it's a joke, bro. This guy's fun at parties.
but they're not actually joking. Okay, what they're saying.
Oh
they
my
actually
god!
On at parties,
Chad,
baby.
I have so much hate in my heart. Clearly, you can tell I'm just seething with so much hate. I don't want any good for trans people. It's not like I've been actively telling them to get help. Tell them to.
That's the thing is, I might believe that. I don't think he hates them. I just think he has a savior complex where he thinks he's correct about the treatment method, even though he isn't. There's nothing going on in there that communicates that he has any in-depth understanding of any mental health issue in general. And he was like, I know better, but like based on what? Based on nothing. You're just kind of like an edgy dude on the internet. And that's cool. You know what I mean? You do you, brother, but you clearly have no understanding or desire to understand this topic at all. Most of your arguments is like everything's a conspiracy and a lesbian did every study that exists on trans people. Also, there's a tie to Nazi Germany. Like, it's all lies. It's like, okay. Like, that's cool. I think you mean well, but you're very wrong. It's very clear that you've been completely like brain rotted by like anti-woke discourse, which is just as obnoxious as woke discourse, right? So that's where we're at.
Truth. You don't lie to them and tell them, you know,
lie to them.
You should cut your dick off.
Whoa.
And you should do this gender-affirming surgery.
Give the dick to me.
You should attach
I
fish
no
skin
longer
to your
penis.
genitals. You should do that. Because
I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to fish skin on your genitals. Fish skin on Fortnite. That's the first thing that pops up. Are you getting Fortnite and foreskin confused? I'm so confused. I don't know what to say. They've used the use of acellular fish skin graft on burn wounds. Okay. I mean, that'd be like if I was like, oh, you had a heart attack? Well, that's stupid. You're going to use a pig's heart as your new heart? You know, I feel like that's like similar. If they do use that in some capacity from a medical perspective, because it's able to, what the fuck is this? Okay, whatever. Let's continue.
I'm the one who actually cares. That's their side.
The shit they're saying in their little joke or whatever, right? So like, it's just one of those things where like, I see too many people that will use the joke
Close
defense,
your eyes, bro.
and like,
Close
honestly, just be honest. Don't be a little.
I am being honest. It was a joke.
Bitch about it. Like, if you're a hateful piece of shit, just admit you're a hateful piece of shit. Whoa. You can absolutely make edgy jokes about trans people. Trust me, I'm friends with trans people. These guys have no idea what a good edgy joke means. Yeah, exactly. There's ways to joke about it that's not like, you know.
Hey, I got a good transgender joke. You ready? Oh, you're non-binary? Let me see them titties. You know what I'm saying, dude? Let me see them titties. My wife's in the chat. That's just a joke, dude. Don't send me anything. And don't send me anything, dude. I'm fucking married. I'll call the cops if you send me anything. I'm serious. I will call them. I have a friend that's a cop. I'm going to call him. And I'm going to report you to the IR, to the Better Business Bureau. Go fuck with me, okay?
Hateful in nature, but like, I'm sorry, most of the people that use the joke defense in these particular situations, like, I'm sorry, you said something that's genuinely fucked up. And even if it's a case of you didn't actually believe what you were saying, you were just actually saying a joke, you may be playing into harmful rhetoric.
Oh, fuck.
And not even notice it. So
shit.
You can make a
me
joke
talking about how I'm going to walk away as a joke from somebody who's telling me that I got their gender wrong.
Tipster is right.
It's fucked up.
I mean, again, you alluded that trans people are like associated with Nazi Germany, so like, yes, it is. What you're doing is harmful. You're being a little bit of a silly goose. Okay.
Shit, I'm spreading harmful messages. Chat, I'm getting behind this little satire act right now, but truly, this shit's just annoying.
Got him. Finally.
Is transphobic without yourself being transphobic.
Because this has been the argument for so long, and I'm starting to see how much of a lack of foundation it has. So it's like, it's so annoying hearing these same talking points be rehashed and rehashed. Homies,
okay.
yeah, fat raging 100%.
In the discourse.
Honest, I think a lot of the people who make these jokes, I think they actually believe the shit they're saying. I think it's a fucking dog whistle.
Fat dog whistle.
When it's like, bro, that's not the case. Even if it's a hateful joke, that doesn't mean they hate you guys. Like, I can make a hateful joke towards my homie, and it'll piss him off for like a second, but that doesn't mean I hate him. I'm just giving him shit.
Well, I'd say that there's obviously a difference between your friend and people you have no idea about, right? Like, you know, you being hateful to a group of people that you have no history with, that you don't validate as people, and you constantly just say that they're individuals with mental disorders and that they're wrong about everything, and say that they're attached to Nazis in some capacity. It's a little different than you busting your friend's balls about something. It's obviously different. This is fucking doing too much damage.
People are so soft nowadays.
There's a difference between roasting your homeboy and making a joke that plays into harmful rhetoric.
I do agree that people are too soft, but like Pancho has to realize he's one of the soft people. Like every time someone calls him transphobic, he has a meltdown. He's like, I'm not transphobic. I just don't think trans people are valid. It's like, okay, just if I was transphobic and someone called me that, I'd be like, you're fucking, yes, I am. I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be like, yeah, I don't. Like, you know, it's one of those things where like you're afraid to just be like, yeah, I don't like trans people. Like, whatever. Just be honest about it. But you want to like pretend that you do. You don't. You don't like trans people. You think that you don't. It's very clear. Just say that you don't. You're the one that's too sensitive. Like, just grow up. Just be like, yeah, I don't like them. Now, obviously, it's wrong, but at least you're not pretending to be the nice guy. Because right now, you're engaging in a savior complex. I want what's best for them. No, you don't. Shut up. Like, stop. It's childish. Like, you just want to be hateful, and you don't get it, and that's totally fine. But then you pretend that you do get it, and it just becomes like a problem. That's all it really comes down to. You're not owning your perspective. Oh my God, why is it so hard?
There's a huge difference between that. Telling a joke to your friend that's like meant to be like a little lighthearted roasting, and actually telling a joke that plays into harmful rhetoric. It has the potential to do a lot of harm and a lot of damage.
Oh my gosh. Holy shit. This guy's acting like I'm going to convince people to go kill trans people in the street. Bro, relax. All I said was I was going to walk away.
Hey, thank you, Acrello. Thanks, brother. Let me change this up a little bit.
That's crazy.
That's wild, brother.
They can't even process
a
joke. People don't realize what jokes are anymore. They're like, oh no, there's an underlying intent with that.
Yeah, like, there's always been underlying intent with that. The best comedians, George Carlin knew that. That's why he would make more political leaning jokes in order to like expose hypocrisy and go after like rich people and other stuff. There's always been intent to jokes. That's like the intelligent aspect of jokes. That's why jokes are so fun. The best comedians are ones that like tell jokes about the real world and try to tell truth through funny. Right? Some people say that they try to do that, but then they can't take jokes themselves, you know. But that's like the truth. Yeah, like for sure. That exists. Like it's always been like this. It's a weird thing to be like, no, people don't get jokes anymore. People always understand jokes. The problem is now people want to say everything's a joke when they're just being like hateful and they don't want to take accountability because they're children. Like you just, everything's a joke because you don't want to take accountability. Like you, as you sit here and say the world is sensitive, like you refuse to take accountability, and that fundamental behavior, that is the problem with some of our societies. People won't take accountability for their actions or what they say or what they feel or think. You know, again, I'd rather somebody just be like, yeah, I don't really like trans people very much, and be open about it instead of pretending that you're like some kind of a trans savior, which is what this Pancho guy's doing. So, you know, that's just a very weak perspective to operate on. This like fucking, I just don't like the people with the savior complex. They're just annoying.
That's why he's joking and not taking. And bro, the reason why you probably are differentiating the two is because you don't have friends that joke around, that don't banter, that don't have any sort of fun discussion going on.
Whoa, relax. My friends send me plenty of transphobic memes all the time, bro. I get all the time. Like everything. I'm super edgy. Okay, it's okay.
Other shit. You guys like hang out and you guys are fake nice to each other. Hey man, I like your shirt. Like it's all fake and shit.
Water in the chat says people always talk about dog whistles, but they never talk about cat whistles. Shut the fuck up. Jesus. I say some really fucked up shit to my friends.
Yeah, by the end of the stream, he's going to be playing his laughing track like 35 times.
It's like really different. There's a difference there. And I think he knows there's a difference there, but I think he's playing dumb. I think he's just acting retarded.
Hold on. Retard break. I need a retard break. Give me a retard.
I expect the like the ableism from like the Pancho guy. Like totally fine. Like it's not fine, but like whatever. Like I get it. You know, I talk about like, you know, intellectual development disabilities a lot, blah blah blah. You know the drill at this point. But like it's something that bothers me from people who are like social justice, and if you're gonna be like an SJW, you can't normalize or use that. It's a slur. I get why like people who aren't engaged in that, like the Pancho guys, like it doesn't give a shit. Like I get it. But like if you're gonna sit here and you're gonna go on a whole tangent trying to you know, validate trans people, you can't go on a whole tangent of like I'm gonna use a bunch of like bigoted slurs towards people in the intellectual developmental community, the IDD community, especially people who are higher support needed. Like it comes off as incredibly hypocritical to do stuff like that, and it's just it's annoying. Like it's stupid, right? You know, it's like it's a shame because it to me it just invalidates a lot of what you're saying as that you don't really care. Oh, I can't do this fucking dungeon. Oh fuck. So
break for like 2 fucking minutes, okay?
That's why he's making the fucking joke. Like,
you don't think Tipster's an SCW? He is. He's if you're gonna sit here and have like all this like robust trans discourse or try to like you have the higher standard held to you when it comes to those topics. So,
and the one that I can think of off the top of my head is dudes be 14, 15, and already converting to a woman. Like, damn, you at least try to get some pussy first. That's funny, bro.
Oh my god, that was fucking hilarious.
It was. It was pretty funny.
It was a little funny. I'll give him that. But that's a... Oh, man. I'm lagging.
Oh god, it was so...
That's a better criticism for like a gay person. Like, oh, you're going to be gay at 14. You're not even going to try some pussy first. Like, that's funny. So it would have been better placed in that capacity.
Funny.
And if I'm transphobic for that, fuck it. I guess I am. One thing you'll notice with my channel is I only talk about them when it involves kids.
Okay.
Oh, boy, here we go, chat.
Okay.
Here we go. He's playing into the groomer narrative. Who couldn't see that coming? But remember,
well, let's hear what he has to say first.
Chat. Remember,
I mean, maybe Tipster watches it beforehand, so that's why he knows where he's going with it. But let's see where he goes with it first.
He's not transphobic. He's gonna play into the little groomer narrative. About
but I can play the same game, dude. Oh boy, this guy wants kids being introduced to sexuality. You don't bring.
Again, kids are already introduced to sexuality. It's just that they're only introduced to like heterosexuality, right? And so the thing is that you don't actually believe kids shouldn't be introduced to sexuality. First of all, sexuality isn't inherently sexual, right? It's about love, right? People do have sex, but it's mostly about love. That's what it really is about. Second of all, heteronormativity. Kids are already introduced to heterosexuality. It's just the idea of introducing them at age-appropriate times to gay shit, gay people. Sorry, gay shit wasn't appropriate. To create a comfortability for people who happen to be gay, because there are kids that are gay, like they are born gay. That's just a fact of the matter, and we should create a comfortable space. Like people should be able to be like, oh, they're valid. You know what I mean? Don't harass gay people for the virtue of their existence. So yeah, man. Pogger.
Bring any points. It's just assumption and reach after reach after reach. You're just autistic, bro.
Whoa!
Like I hate to be the one that tells you the truth here, but you're just a fat retard.
Remember, he's not transphobic, chat. Am I right? This guy's so full of shit, dude.
What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
Chat, notice how he's calling me hateful the whole time? Meanwhile, I wish I could show you guys this the full time, but I kind of like this better. But dude, you should see his face when he's reacting to this stuff. He's like...
Incredible stuff. I love it.
This guy is so full of hate.
Me too.
This dude looks like he's about to
I got an extra 250 pounds worth of hate, baby.
Pull up to my house or something like that. That's how much he hates me. So, I don't know, man. I'm not going to be you, and I'm not going to reach and say that you hate me, but...
That I'm bigoted towards topics about...
But that's me playing his game, right? Which is gay.
Having them confused at a young age. Hell yeah, I'm bigoted towards that topic. What does that say about you?
What does that mean, confused at a young age? Because let me tell you something, brother. Maybe Pancho's just like... He might have just been born a 100% Sigma male. But when I was younger, I remember, like, experimenting... with some, like, I was distressed that I might be gay. I remember I had an aunt who told me that bisexuality doesn't exist, you're either gay or straight, and that was fucked me up, bro. To a point where I was like distressed about liking dudes. I was like, oh shit, because if I was in a different social setting, I might be bisexual. You know, there's some femboys that I would consider. You know what I mean? Even now. And that's how I think. I think sexuality is a bit of a spectrum. I always bring it up where, like, I think you're born at a point on the spectrum, right? So we'll just say like gay, straight. I know that there's pansexual shit, but like just don't overcomplicate it, okay? I don't have the
Jesus
capacity.
Christ.
Hold on, shut up.
I think a good measure of how
I'm gonna replay that. Give me a minute. And so I think everybody falls on the spectrum somewhere. Like for me, I probably fell like right here, and based on my social condition, probably a little closer. I'm a little closer there. Okay. You would fall within like this boundary here, right? And I might have been like a little, but like the thing is, I got so upset when my aunt said that to me, and like I felt like, oh man, like what am I? Like what's going on? You know, and it's like that's confusing to kids when you tell them being gay is bad, or you only push this heteronormative idea because then you're just telling kids that like if they're not that, then they're weird or bad, and it's distressing from a mental perspective. I'm trying to play your thing. Play it. Play it.
Jesus Christ super chatted $10.
Thank you.
I think a good measure of how much someone genuinely cares about trans people is how many trans people can point to them and say thank you. No one is thanking this dude for his insight on trans people.
Okay. What I think is a good measurement is if you like trans people so much, name every trans person. Duh. That's what I would say. I like every trans person. There's Dan, Bill, Samantha, Sunshine Moonsparkle. That's another trans. This is why, by the way, I always say that if you are trans, that's valid, but you need to let your parents choose your name. All right. Obviously, if your parents aren't trans affirming, that's different. But if you was born, if you were assigned female at birth, right? That's the way to say it now. And you go through your life journey, and you come to the realization that you are a man. Fantastic. Don't name yourself. Let your parents name yourself. You don't get to choose your name. That's unfair. I get to choose my name. You know what I mean? So,
actually, that's what I want to get down to. Why do you have a problem with me talking about kids being introduced to it? If you don't see the problem,
they think that you just like introduce kids to the shit. It's the indoctrination.
They already know what
shit, right? You don't indoctrinate someone into being gay or trans or anything like that. That doesn't happen.
Zed King super chatted $5. I might be tripping, but I notice a lot of conservative / shanty woke people emphasize the physiognomy of people they consider more left-leaning.
Oh yeah, well there probably is something to it. I don't know why. Bro, come on, stop teleporting. Yeah, like they'll talk about like a lot of lefties are like kind of like pasty or fat or et cetera, et cetera. Sure, I think it exists. I think in the real world there are more people who are left leaning that aren't like that, but they just don't want to be obsessed with online social discourse. I think everybody who's online that's into this discourse is just an obnoxious little baby. They're just like myself included. It's like, oh my god, what am I doing with my life? What a weird thing to do. It's like this obsessive. It's not obsessive, but it's just like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Go get a real job. Am I right, guys?
That's like not real. I'm just retarded. Fuck. You're confusing kids by showing them the pride flag, and then they're gonna ask you about it. Hey, teacher, what is this? Why is there so many rainbows everywhere?
That's You're gonna confuse kids. They're gonna see a thing and they're gonna be confused. Okay. It's a pride flag, bro. Kids ask questions all the time. Like, what is that? Oh, it just means that you can love anybody. There's your answer. We did it. That's not that confusing. Kids, it's the responsibility of people to teach children everything. They're going to be confused about why you need to eat fucking broccoli because it's disgusting. You don't say we can't have them eat broccoli because it's too confusing for them, though. Like, we have them eat broccoli. You know what I mean? Like, life is about being confused and learning things. So... Are you fucking kidding me? I died?
Oh, well, it's for gay pride. What? Gay? Yeah. Gay? What's gay?
It just means you love somebody of the same gender. It's not that complicated.
Well, gay is homosexuality. You're confused.
Gay and homosexuality are the same word. That's nothing confusing about it.
Confusing them, bro.
I like how he's like, I have to explain what a gay person is. Gay is a synonym for homosexuality. Okay, what does it mean? It just means you love somebody of the same gender. Oh. It's not that complicated. If you think that kids are going to be fucking decimated for life over that, like, come on, you're being too sensitive. You are the sensitivity in society. You are the oversensitive person. So
you're corrupting their minds at such a young age. On the topic of sexuality,
right there. Like, if you're corrupting them, if you think that teaching somebody that people that are gay, like corrupting them, you are homophobic. Like, this is like the objective. Like, he is homophobic. You think it's a corruption to be gay. Like, you're homophobic. And you're like. Yeah, sorry, man. And so if you want to be that way, that's fine. But don't try to like you can't be hateful. You think it's a corruption, and then pretend that you're the nice guy. You're not. You're kind of a mean guy at that point. I just killed myself for a fucking proc. Holy fuck.
Being brought up. But no, it's just attraction, dude. It's just attraction.
Yes, it is.
Homosexuality, bro. It's in the fucking name,
right?
What does that mean? Homosexuality as a classification of a word. It doesn't mean that it's not about kids having sex. Would you say the same thing about heterosexuality? It's not about having sex. It's just about love. As you get older, you have sex. But for like a 10-year-old to learn about like what a gay person is, it's you could love another person in your same gender. It doesn't mean that you have to go fuck them. Nobody needs to be telling 10-year-olds to have sex, but like it's just about love, fundamentally speaking.
Again,
you're playing like a weird semantical game where you can't disconnect it in any capacity. Because by this logic, that you shouldn't teach people about like heterosexuality because you think it's too sexual. But like we're fine with like heteronormative ideas. So
people don't get to choose whether they're adults or kids. They don't choose to have gender dysphoria. Yeah, it just happens. Okay?
So that's a hill he's dying on. That's
he's right.
Final argument. These people don't choose to have gender dysphoria.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
Yeah, Tipster, we've already gone past that.
Yeah. Okay.
I know you're still behind. I know you're still stuck on that. And you're saying it's not a mental illness? You're saying it's not a mental disorder?
Well, I think he said that he would prefer to label it as a mental condition because it's more sensitive. So he actually agrees with you. But he's pushing the idea of being more sensitive in the point. Well, if this guy kills me, I'm gonna fart. So you're kind of just not. You're not really interpreting his argument well, and that's either because you're malicious or you're a silly goose.
When you acknowledge the fact that you have gender dysphoria or body, because at the end of the day, people can do what they want, but that doesn't mean I agree with it, or I don't have a problem with them as an individual, right? It's just sad to see what's going on in our world, bro. We got kids being brainwashed into this stuff. We got
the fact that you think it's brainwashing is like a problem. So yeah,
got people being mutilated. It's just weird. It's weird, and also it's evil. If we really want to go down to the root of all this,
it's evil. That's okay. I mean,
it's evil because you can look up who started it. You can look up the history behind all of it, the history behind the studies, the history behind everything, and then you'll realize your whole world crumbles apart.
Not really.
And you realize
it sounds like you found like one document that says a thing, and you're like, oh my god, like who started what? You showed us that it happened in just in Germany. It wasn't even Nazi Germany in 1919. It was just Germany. And you're like, see, the Nazis started it. It's like, okay, like what is it that you're trying to say? Just be a man and say what you want to say. You're hiding behind your perspective. Show people where you get this information from. You found a lesbian or somebody that looks more masculine as a woman and said, see, lesbians did it, so it must be biased and wrong. Like that's your entire perspective on it. And it's like, how is that a correct perspective? Bro, this guy's too much fucking armor.
They're just brainwashing people and monetizing off of it. And gearing the
see there it's the trans conspiracy that they're making money off of. It's a lot of like really unintelligent. Like listen, I'm not trying to be rude, but it is very unintelligent. And when there's this idea that because there's money to be made off of gender dysphoria, because obviously any health condition or any health anything is going to be monetizable. It's like, see, they're just trying to profit off of it. And so to him, there's this deep-seated conspiracy to make people trans for money. But when it comes to people that have to pay like $1,000 just to see the doctor or hundreds of dollars just to see a doctor, that's just the way that the system is supposed to work, right? This is a fundamental issue with the way that our medical system works. That's too much for profit. I'm not saying there shouldn't be some profit. I don't care about profit incentives. That's fun. But it's gone to a point where, like, you know, insulin, for instance, it costs like 100 times as much as it's actually supposed to cost, because people are like taking advantage of that. And so, like, it's just in one instance they'll talk about it being like some kind of conspiracy-esque thing. But when it comes to healthcare, it's like, oh, it's a conspiracy. They're just trying to make kids trans for money. But then when it comes to every other aspect of healthcare, it's like, no, that's just the way it works. That's the way that it's supposed to work. And it's like, okay, you're just engaging in cognitive dissonance. You know, like for instance, the kids in the bathroom or the trans people in bathroom thing is another aspect of it. People are like, I'm so worried about trans women in women's bathrooms. Okay, you like, it's like, oh, I don't want trans women in women's bathrooms because unsafe for women. Okay, but like, why aren't you concerned with the fact that like people are just changing in front of each other in the bathroom in the first place? Like, take trans out of it. It's weird that, especially in schools, that we have locker rooms where I'm expected to get naked as a kid. I remember getting naked as a kid, and like I have weird nipples and like I hated my body. It's like, this is a fundamental problem, and you're like, I don't want trans people in the bathroom or in the locker room, and I get it, but at the same time, it's like there shouldn't be a public changing space. It's uncomfortable, especially for kids. When it's like trans women in women's bathrooms, I'm worried that a guy's going to go in there that pretends to be trans, isn't even trans, and molest a little girl. Why aren't you worried about little boys being molested by men in the bathroom? It's interesting, the perspective on these things. It's like there's problems with our systems already, but nobody acknowledges them until it's people that are trans, and then all of a sudden there's a magical conspiracy attached to it. Cognitive dissonance is just basically having two different perspectives. Like, your fundamental perspective on one topic doesn't align with like the perspective of another topic, right? Something basically that. So what school did I go to? Regular school, bro. I always gotta go to the locker room, change for fucking swimming class or whatever. Like, I don't want my balls out, bro. You know what I'm saying, dude? You know, you'd obviously wear a towel, but like taking my shirt off in front of people, it's distressing as a kid. It's so uncomfortable. My point, you get my point here?
Human consciousness towards feeling bad.
And then they'd yell at you if you wanted to like change in like a different space. You know, I don't want to change there. I'm uncomfortable. Just change. It's like, what the fuck?
For these people. And and not just feeling bad for these people, because I do feel bad for trans people. Okay. But they don't want you to just feel bad for them. They want you to feel bad for them and pander into their delusional world. So
people just want you to not be silly goose. Your perspective is so off.
Be just as delusional as them, or ignorant or vulnerable as them.
Okay.
So, like, we're not talking about, like, indoctrinating kids to become trans. It doesn't work that way. This is the problem with these people, is they talk about
Oh, no, you're not.
About shit.
Kids are going to be confused about everything.
that they
That's why it's called learning. Then you learn, and then you're no longer confused.
know nothing about.
In what world is it appropriate to mention anything about sexuality to a 5-year-old kid?
In the world we live in, it's appropriate. Again, if somebody was saying you're going to be it sounds like a little boy, that they're going to be like a handsome heartthrob to like all the little girls are going to love you, you'd be like, that's perfectly fine. That's introduction of sexuality to children. But then if there's something, if God forbid a person learns that gay people exist, all of a sudden you're like, no. This is very inappropriate. You're confusing them. This is evil. It's already acceptable in our society to talk about sexuality to kids because it's not about sex. It's just about love. It's already an acceptable thing to be done. You're fine with it when it comes to straight people. When it comes to gay people, you think it's an evil, disgusting, like plague on the land. Like you're the one that's confused. You can't even understand. Like this would be the cognitive dissonance, thinking that it's okay to he keeps saying, oh, we shouldn't teach sexuality, but he thinks it's fine to teach sexuality to children as long as it's heterosexuality. But if it's homosexuality, all of a sudden this is an evil stain on our existence. So that's the part.
Answer that one for me, Tipster. That's my question.
Okay.
And I highly doubt they've even made an effort to even look into it and to try and understand it.
Oh, I've done my research.
You can't make someone.
I watched Matt Walsh. Okay, you fucking silly goose. I did my research. One lesbian made every single study about gay people. See the bias there? It's incredible stuff, I think. It's incredible.
Truth be told, I didn't really care about this at all in the beginning until I realized how...
That's true. You still don't... You didn't care enough to actually look into it. What happened is this person thinks that gay and trans people are disgusting because he thinks it's evil, and then he found information that would align with that. Me personally, he looked for the information, then he found it. Like that's what it is. You can look for any information you want, especially online. Like his site, his sources are like, I found this on Instagram at 3 a.m. while I was looking through memes, because I find transphobic shit too when I looking at memes on Instagram. Because it's just a relationship to being an edgy fuck and being transphobic. So, you know.
Brainwashed people were about this topic, and I'm like, whoa. The world doesn't really actually think about things.
Whoa, but you do. You know, makes perfect
They just
sense.
listen to feelings.
Yeah.
And that's what gears their entire life.
Again, man, irony, because you are very feelings based. You think gay is evil because you feel that way. Like there's no basis other than you're going to say religion, which has no factual foundation. Just letting you know, I love God. There's nothing factual about it. It's very much like a spiritual thing. So, you know.
So that's why the discussion is how it is about this topic.
Okay.
That's why everybody's already operating from a place of worrying about what they say when it comes to talking about people like this.
You can't make someone have gender dysphoria and be trans. It doesn't work that far.
Oh, I'll make you do it.
Who the fuck do I... It's a choice to be trans. Have in my audience.
No,
Bro, unsub if you think that that's transphobic. And this is what they'll say.
But it is transphobic.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Stupid.
God damn it. In middle school, we have the sex ed videos that show a penis and a vagina. They're exposing kids to it too. Those videos show you the reproductive system of your own bodies.
Yes.
That's not an adult going to a child and saying, hey, have you ever questioned who you're sexually attracted to? It's not the same.
That's not what happens with like gay discourse or whatever. It's just like, here's comfortable spaces, gay people are valid. But it is literally an adult teaching children about the way that our reproductive system works. Again, you're making it sound so predatory. Like, this is why you're transphobic. Like, you have to stop coping and just come to the realization that you don't like trans people. You know, be a man. Just grow up and just say, like, I don't like trans people. It's fine. Like, it's not fine, but it's fine. But just, I hate when people try to mask it. You know? That's why I like Ben Shapiro, bro. He's just like, I don't like trans people. He just says it. You know, he just says it. I can respect that. I can respect honesty.
Same at all. And if you're on the retard side of this argument, get the fuck out of here. As I said earlier, unsub. Hey man, if I'm transphobic for anything,
you hate trans people so much that you're fine with completely. Like, you don't even want trans people in your audience, because trans people will be the number one people that are going to disagree with you. You're like, if you believe this, unsubscribe. You're telling trans people to unsubscribe as you say you're not hateful, dude. You hate this topic so much that you can't even come to like terms with how hateful you're being. Like, you have so like you're just very hateful. Okay.
I said in this video, I guess I am, dude.
He just shook his head,
the rest of my life being a
I'm going to say it for you, Pancho. I'll say it for you, since you really seem to have a problem with saying it yourself, since you really seem to have an issue of comprehending why what you're saying is problematic. I'll just say the words for you.
Problematic.
I will say the words for you. I will speak them to you.
Dude, just say them! Holy fuck!
Yes, you are fucking transphobic. All right, now you don't have to question it. Now you don't have to like kind of dance around.
Bro, the discourse is so weird online, you know? Like, and I've said this before. I find it like I don't know, and I could just be wrong. Like I just could not have enough context, but it's so interesting when somebody that doesn't belong to a group gets so outraged by something in a group, you know? Like I understand, but I could just be being a little silly goose. I don't know. I'm probably just being stupid, you know? But I question why you get so hyped up over being so frustrated when you're not a trans person. And so for me, like if you want to be some kind of like a trans ally, I feel like there are trans people that have a very real experience and they try to communicate that to people, but it can be very triggering for them. And then as a non-trans person or somebody who doesn't like align with a particular struggle of a community, you should be able to disconnect yourself and be a little bit more like communicate it differently. You know what I mean? Like to somebody who doesn't get it, which Pancho clearly is, like you should try to meet them where they're at, because it can be very triggering to have that conversation as a trans person because they are debating their existence. So as a non-trans person, it just makes me it confuses me why you get so riled up sometimes. But that might just be me being like not sensitive enough. You know what I mean? So.
The issue or anything like that. The tipster has officially told you that
the tipster, yes.
Damn. Films super chatted $19.99.
Yeah.
I think
Stop
people
giving me
like
money.
to say hateful things under umbrella to hide from the wrath of the internet hate.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But also, thank you so much for the money. But you don't have to keep donating, man. You give me too much money, man. I appreciate it a lot. But you should save that money up and go on a submarine. Go on those submarine tours, you know what I mean? Don't do that. Thank you.
Owned. However will I cope?
Yeah, you don't really agree with that because you have people that you know that are trans. I get that. I understand that. I get what you're saying. Maybe it's just like a me thing. I could just be me. I'm exploring my own problems as well, okay? But, yeah.
Earlier, I don't hate trans people.
Again, I think that there's like a, you know, you have that standard onto you to try to be, you know, remove your, you know, emotions from it as much as possible if you're not like actually trans. But I understand like having friends or family or something. And that could like trigger you in some capacity too. I get that. Whoa!
I hate what the movement is doing.
What are they doing?
So that's my actual masked off take.
Well, you think that the movement is trying to like groom kids, and that's why you're having a problem with that. Oh, I missed it. So
I hate what they're doing. The movement, right? I don't hate them as individuals. Why would I?
Reaction.
Or I'm going to talk about it, and I'm not sorry.
Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. That's fair. I'm gonna apply that to Pancho because he doesn't understand what he's doing. God bless. You know, Christ has died. Christ is risen. Christ will come again.
We got a Bible verse here, chat. We got a Bible verse.
Yeah.
Father, wait, he misspelled forgive?
Damn, he got you on that one though. You did get a little dumpster there.
Ah, fuck, dude! I got owned. Shit.
Luke 23:24. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing.
Okay.
And he's gonna focus on okay.
Looks like you have more problems than learning about gay people in school. Looks like you needed to learn how to fucking like pay attention in fucking English class, my dude.
Or I just maybe did it wrong. It's like
that's true. Could be true too.
These little geeks that focus in on.
Oh my god, look, I'm gonna avoid exactly what he's saying, and I'm just gonna focus on the fact that he misspelled forgive.
Well, I think he focused on what you're saying. So, but okay.
Chat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, guys. Yeah.
Okay.
These people want you to chop off your dick.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
I've said it like 1,000 times, and it's just fuck my balls. So,
that's what they fight for. That's what they believe in. They want you to chop.
They're
off
afraid of the fucking 4v1 there. Okay, interesting video.